This is an overview of 14 of the most popular solar generators, which are battery inverter power packs. I'm not a big fan of the solar generator as a category name since you don't have to use solar on any of these units, and generators in my mind have engines. But as long as we all know what I'm talking about, I'll call them solar generators. This is the list of all the solar generators I'll be covering. They are listed by battery size. To help you narrow your selection, I'm going to start with some basic guidelines on what will work with a particular battery size. Mating an inverter to a battery smaller than the Jackery 240's 250 watt-hour battery is impractical, so this unit is as small as I recommend. It would be good for running a small radio all day and charging many phones. A couple smaller electronic devices can get by with one of these compact power supplies. A couple medium-sized electronic devices used a few hours a day can be powered by these three units. An average new refrigerator could be powered by one of these five. If you need to run it from solar for more than a day, one of these three could do the job. If you want to power a couple of household appliances, then you will need more battery than what comes with any of these units. But these five are expandable. Only the .0 Titan can recover from solar and do it again by the third day. To power up things like space heaters, crock pots, dishwashers, or anything that generates heat as part of its function, then you will just need to run a generator when using those items. The lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry is inherently safer in that it will not self-ignite if left discharged like all the other lithium batteries. You may discount this concern because you know that you will keep it charged up to a safe level, but what if your kids inherit this someday and they don't know to keep it charged? Some weeks or months after using it and not recharging it, their house could burn down. So if you think your kids are going to dump you in a second-rate retirement home, then get one of the other units. Otherwise, these three units use the safer lithium iron phosphate battery. Be aware that the lithium iron phosphate batteries are heavier. For example, the LiFePO equipped Suoki G1000 is over twice the weight of the Jackery 1000. The newer power delivery USB-C ports deliver much more power than the standard USB-A. They are not mechanically the same, but newer phones will be designed for it. So if your chosen power unit doesn't have it, you will end up using a DC car outlet with an adapter to charge your future phone. These 8 units have power delivery jacks. If ham radio is your primary load, then this should help narrow your options. If you are just planning to sporadically transmit at 5 watts, then any of these units will work and most will be overkill. Most of these solar generators will power larger radios using the inverter's 120 volt output, but the battery will not last as long. This chart helps to identify a few brands that tend to cost more than most, like the River, Kodiak, Yeti, and Apex. The most expensive unit, the Titan, sells expansion batteries that, if used, will bring the cost per watt hour down to average. Now for the individual quick review, starting with the Jackery 240. This smallest power unit should be looked at as a battery with a 120 volt AC convenience outlet for lower power charge adapters. Its recovery time is slow, so it wouldn't be good for long-term power outages where you plan to recover using the solar or generator inputs. The sleek-looking River costs a lot per watt hour, but it has an excellent solar charge rate. The PD ports are bidirectional, so they are used for charger inputs and as outputs to charge phones. This is a Kickstarter product and the service support is limited. There are a couple different models that EcoFlow calls River, and specs vary quite a bit between them. The two Suoki power supplies use the safer lithium iron phosphate batteries. Cost is low per watt hour and they have a good solar charge rate. The Jackery's charge rates are all anemic and don't lend themselves to multiple days without power where you have to recharge from solar or a generator, but they are lightweight compared to similar sized models. The inverter to battery size ratio is very typical of most power supplies. Notice that the inverter watts is the same value as the battery watt hours. Cheaper solar generators will scrimp on the most expensive part, that being the battery, and emphasize the inverter capability. A prime example of that type of solar generator is the Patriot Power generator. Its battery is 1/3 the size of the inverter rating. Nowhere in their YouTube commercials do they tell you what their battery size is. The cost per watt hour is 3 times similar units. They will probably soon disappear from the market, but something like it will replace it because it is a complex, confusing purchase. I'll only bring this one up to warn you away from it and others like it. The Jackery 1000 is brand new as of March 2020. At 22 pounds, it has one of the best power per pound ratios, but as with other Jackeries, it achieves this by trimming the charger size and not using LiFePO batteries. My favorite of these 14 solar generators is the Renogy Lycan. It uses the fire-resistant LiFePO battery and is near the low end of the price per watt hour. Renogy sells a lot of equipment, and their large manufacturing volume allows them to spread their development cost out. The weight is getting up there for this unit, so they built in wheels and a suitcase type extension handle. This is the third and final unit that uses the lithium iron phosphate batteries. Recharge rate is lower than I'd like, and cost is average. Like its smaller brother, its utilitarian looks will be appreciated by engineers and not many others. With looks only a mother could love, the Energy Kodiak is only one of 3 with a 30 amp RV connector. The 1100 watt inverter can't put out 30 amps, but it does eliminate that clumsy adapter. Like the other Energy brand power unit, this can be expanded with generic batteries, which is a great feature. Adding batteries is not an idiot-proof task, so I don't recommend this for those who don't already know how to use a multimeter. Price per watt hour is one of the highest, but that comes way down with your own external batteries. A well-known solar equipment reviewer named Will Prost no longer recommends Energy products due to their quality control issues in 2019. The unique thing about the EcoFlow Delta is its AC charge rate. It is so much more than the average because the Delta is designed to be daisy-chained to increase its battery capacity. That's done by plugging the Delta with the load attached into another Delta whose only purpose is to recharge the first Delta. This is the most idiot-proof way to expand battery capacity, although there are diminishing returns doing it this way because you're losing about 1/3 of the second battery's capacity to inverter and charger losses. Consequently, EcoFlow recommends using no more than 3 deltas in a chain. Goal Zero has been around for a long time and is therefore the most likely to be around if you have a warranty issue. It costs more than most per watt hour but has the highest DC output. The power pole input and output jacks are the standardized plug used in ham radio equipment, and robust 15, 30, and 45 amp contacts are readily available online. Max Oak Blue Eddy is one of the lowest cost per watt hour and has good solar charge rate. If you can get past the name that sounds like a Google mistranslation, it is a good overall value. A newer, larger cousin of the Energy Kodiak, the Apex, has similar features, the most unique being the RV connector and the ability to expand with generic external batteries, although I would have preferred a more common solar connector. At the time of this writing, the .0 Titan is king of the solar generator hill. It has an RV plug and is expandable using .0's own battery modules. The cost per watt hour is the highest, but that comes down to near the lowest cost per watt hour if you add the battery modules. The end price with 2 extra batteries would cost $5,600 and weigh about 130 pounds. Moving it around isn't as difficult as you would think since it easily breaks down to 35-pound pieces. If you would like something larger with solar built in, there are a lot of small-scale U.S. manufacturers out there that make solar generators with integrated solar panels. Just do a Google search for solar generator trailer or solar generator kit. For a more detailed review of a particular solar generator, include WillPros or Hobotech in your YouTube search. They really get into the details. Many of the reviewers out there devote most of the video to whether a particular solar generator will run at all with a specific load, like a refrigerator. That's very little information to glean from an entire video. I plan to update this video annually because there seems to be a new unit coming out every month. Well, that's all I've got, so God bless you in your self-sufficient efforts.